Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's announcement on the province's air sector strategy. Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue à cette...
Welcome to this for the air sector announcement.
Is the Honourable Jill Green, Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure. La porte-parole aujourd'hui est l'Honourable Jill Green.
Our speaker today is Honourable Jill Green, Minister.
And then we'll take some questions. La ministre fera une courte déclaration et répondra aux questions. Minister Green?
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jill Green, and I'm the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure for the province of New Brunswick. And I'm pleased to be here today to share New Brunswick's 5-year air sector strategy with you. The past 2+ years have undoubtedly been challenging for the air sector, and the pandemic has had a significant impact on air travel in our province. In 2019, before the COVID-19 pandemic, air passenger travel was up by almost 10%, and a record number of travelers were passing through New Brunswick airports. Unfortunately, passenger volumes from 2019 to 2020 decreased by 76%. And there was a total reduction of 27 routes province-wide. Today, air travel is rebounding, and it's great to see New Brunswick airports are once again aiming to reach new heights. And with our air sector strategy that I am pleased to release today, our government is supporting the ongoing viability of our airports and encouraging growth, particularly in scheduled air passenger service. The air transportation sector is critical to New Brunswick's economy. It supports jobs and tourism, enables investment in our province, and facilitates provincial, national, and international trade. For those reasons, our government is committed to ongoing collaboration with air sector partners and stakeholders to identify opportunities to improve connectivity, generate economic activity, and grow scheduled air passenger services in a meaningful and sustainable way. We have spent the last 18 months working on the first multi-phased air sector project, and we are here today thanks to the hard work of many, many people. Following the launch in December 2020, a baseline assessment was completed to understand the sector's strengths, challenges, and opportunities, focusing on evidence-based data and analysis. There was extensive stakeholder engagement with partners including Transport Canada, airports, airlines, the Atlantic Canada Airports Association, ACOA, tourism organizations, local businesses and business agencies, and municipalities. Valuable input was received and essential feedback provided through those sessions on the state of New Brunswick's air sector. We also engaged Intervistas to consult on the project and provide an independent and evidence-based assessment. A variety of infrastructure scenarios were analyzed for their ability to optimize air service attractiveness while ensuring maximum return on necessary investments. Through that comprehensive and data-driven analysis, it was determined that building a new central airport and repurposing current airports is not the best approach due to the increased level of risk and uncertainty and a high level of financial commitment. The 2022 to 2027 air sector strategy provides a roadmap for maintaining current airport infrastructure with enhanced collaboration in province-wide air service development through a provincial air service development fund. Let me reiterate, there is no recommended closures of the airports in Bathurst, Fredericton, Moncton, and St. John, and no evidence that a central airport should be built in New Brunswick. And I need to say that when we began the baseline assessment and the several phases of this project, that is not the conclusion I thought we were going to have when we completed the assessment. But this is a data-driven analysis. It is the right answer for the province's airports and for our air sector here in New Brunswick. And so as a frequent business traveler, before I became a politician, using our airports here in New Brunswick, I am really pleased that we have this new strategy to go forward over the next 5 years to enhance the service we can provide New Brunswickers. And maintaining our airport infrastructure is only one piece of the overall implementation plan that we are putting forward. I am pleased to announce that our government will be investing in strategic opportunities to grow air passenger service and maximize benefits for the entire province. The Regional Development Corporation will invest $4 million over the next 4 years for the Air Service Development Fund. It's a pilot project for new route development, which also contributes to the overall competitiveness of the province's air sector. A committee chaired by the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure and comprised of members from Opportunities New-Brunswick, the Regional Development Corporation, and representatives from all airports with scheduled air passenger service will review fund submissions based on an evidence-based approach. By building on past successes in the air sector, we are developing sustained and impactful air service growth for all New Brunswickers. Once again, I want to thank all our partners personally for coming to the table and being part of this important project. We have been able to share the highlights of the air sector strategy with them and are encouraged by their support and willingness to collaborate. I look forward to seeing this project move forward as we continue to build a more vibrant and sustainable air sector for all New Brunswickers. Thank you. Merci.
Je tiens à remercier Ministre Green. Thank
I wish to thank Minister Green.
questions from the media. You have the right to pose the question in the official language of your choice. Each reporter will have one question and one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant procéder aux questions des...
We now move on to questions from reporters. You can ask your question in the language of your choice. You'll have one question and one follow-up question.
Natalie Sturgeon, Global News.
Hi, Minister. Can you just sort of explain exactly what is changing here in terms of the airports as a whole?
The review we did and the data-driven analysis supports our existing airport infrastructure with renewed collaboration between the airports. So we are providing funds in a pilot project to encourage new routes, new destinations for our airports that are focused on growing the economy here in New Brunswick moving forward. So the decisions will be made around things that are important to all of New Brunswickers when we look at supplying those funds out to the different airports or different airlines for their new flights.
So just to be clear, is it a regional airport authority that we're looking at here?
No, the interesting thing about the provincial air sector here in New Brunswick is the federal government has jurisdiction over the airports, and we play a supporting role. So our supporting role is to provide funds for new routes from our existing airports while supporting the existing airports that are there and providing services to New Brunswickers, but encourage them to work collaboratively together so that we're looking at the best solution for all of New Brunswick, just not each individual airport.
What about the criticisms that there's just too many airports here in New Brunswick, and obviously the analysis didn't show that a central one would be beneficial?
Yes, as I kind of said in my speech, I went into this thinking that a new central airport was the answer, but thanks to the data that was provided by all our existing airports about everything to do with finances, routes, everything that they're working on going forward, plus working with the Intervistas who are specialized in the air sector, the data does not support it. We will get the best return on our investment by supporting the existing airports, but encouraging them all to collaborate rather than competing against each other. And that is the best support for our economy and for New Brunswick, is to work with the existing infrastructure we have.
Thank you. We're going to move to Alexander Johnson from allnewbrunswick.com.
Hi, Minister. I wanted to ask, where are these new routes needed?
There's been some work, quite a bit of work actually, we've done with the team at InterVistas. They are the specialists that we are calling upon to help us with these decisions. There are some preliminary information they've provided us on possible routes, but we also need the support from the airports to come to us, to tell us where they believe the best bang for our buck is as well. So, I can talk about routes to Western Canada or direct routes into the US. Of course, we all know that would be beneficial, but we also need our partners at the airports to also work with us to make sure we make the correct decision for New Brunswick and for the economy of New Brunswick. So that will be ongoing, the decisions around that.
Thank you. For my second question, you mentioned that our airports need to move to collaboration. What does that collaboration look like?
That collaboration looks like them working together when they're considering a new route. So I'll use an example. They're looking at a direct connection into the U.S. somewhere, that they all work together to look at where this flight should be landing in New Brunswick, at one airport, at a number of airports. Maybe it does 2 airports or 3, but they need to work together and come to us with their solutions on the best way to have the service for all of New Brunswickers. So we're relying on them to collaborate and work together and work with us so that we can invest the Air Sector Development Fund in the best way possible for the best advancement for New Brunswick.
Thank you, merci. Alan Cochran, Brunswick News.
Yes, good afternoon, Minister. Thanks for the news today. With this fund, is this money that would go directly to airlines as incentives to bring more routes to New Brunswick?
The preliminary thought around it is yes, that they would go with airlines, but it'd all be in collaboration with the airports. And we really need their recommendations before any final decisions on how the funds are being distributed happens. And this Air Sector Development Committee is very key in this process, and they will be getting together very quickly to begin working on the criteria around how the funds distributed and how the interaction happens with all the stakeholders here in the province.
Okay, thank you. As a follow-up question, will other sectors be involved in this, like, say, tourism and business? Obviously, a lot of people depend on, the airports and the people that come and go. Would there be a tourism component to this as well?
There would be a tourism component. There's a business component. There's a number of different stakeholders that we've been working along all through this process since December 2020. They've all had input into this strategy. We've shared all the information around it, but we're really looking also to our airports to be leaders in this and to work with their own individual communities and stakeholders and bring that information forward to our Air Sector Development Committee, and then we'll take all that information and get help from the experts like InterVistas as well. We can work with them on an ad hoc basis if we have new opportunities in front of us to help assess the viability of those routes long-term going forward, because the plan is we are going to be supporting, new route development here in New Brunswick, but we want that to be sustainable into the future. So we're not interested in just throwing money around, that we have to have evidence-based decisions around which routes to which airports are the right ones to be investing in. And part of that decision-making is that they will be sustained after the funds have been depleted.
All right.
Thank you, merci. Simon Delatte, l'Acadie Nouvelle.
Yes, hello, Madam Minister.
What was the goal of this report at first, in the first place? Because I believe the air transport sector is a federal jurisdiction. So what the provincial government, what kind of role does the provincial government wants to play in this sector?
So this exercise started by asking the question if our infrastructure is serving the best solutions for New Brunswickers. And part of what we discovered as we were doing the baseline assessment early on in this process is the airports and the air sector would benefit from having a provincial strategy around what we need as a province to build our economy, to support the existing economy, and they needed our input on what the future, our plan is and our strategy for New Brunswick. So that's part of how we continued on with Phase 2 and Phase 3. You are correct. The federal government is ultimately responsible for our national airports here in New Brunswick, which is our Fredericton, St. John, and Moncton. But the province always has a role to play because the air sector serves the people of New Brunswick. So this will help them, us work collaboratively with the airports. And I should mention that we have worked with the federal government all the way through this process. They are supportive of us moving forward. They're supportive of the fund, and they're supportive with our plan for the next 5 years. So they have been partners in this process as well.
Une autre question, Simon?
No,
Another question.
Alan Deering, The Bend. Serge Bouchard, Radio-Canada.
Oui, bonjour.
Yes, hello, Madame, Monsieur. You mentioned airports, Bathurst, Fredericton, Moncton, St. John. What about the other airports in the province? Do they also have access to this special fund, development fund?
So thank you for that question. The fund is focusing on the existing airports that have existing passenger routes currently, but the report also recognizes that there is a role for the province to play in maintenance of all our existing regional and local airports as well. So that is addressed within the report, and I think you'll be able to see that when you review the report that has now been released. But yes, there is a role to play there as well, but the fund is more focused on the 4 airports with passenger service currently.
But I know that in certain cases, especially in Charlotte, we're actively seeking, as you say, passenger routes for that airport. So would they have access to some funds within that program if it's to create new routes?
Well, as I had said in my last answer, the focus of this is the 4 airports that are currently providing passenger service. The good news is about having this air sector strategy, and by having this Air Sector Development Committee, there is nothing to stop other communities to come to that committee and talk about their plans for the future of their airport, and then we can consider what their recommendation is when they come and talk to us. So this is really opening an opportunity for the entire air sector for New Brunswick, because there's actually a group to work with now, rather than only have things on the federal level and having them broken up between province and the feds. So there is an access point now for other airports in the province.
Merci.
Thank you.
Merci. Aidan Cox, CBC. Aidan? Aidan Cox, CBC, do you have a question? Aidan Cox from CBC, we are ready for your question if you have any. Okay, I believe that is the end of the question period. That concludes today's announcement. Thank you. Voilà la fin de notre annonce.
This is the end of our announcement for today. Thank you. Concludes our meeting.